My husband and I were taking a walk, and we noticed, I noticed that he had been ill earlier, just with a little flu bug that we kind of all passed around the family. But I noticed that this was several months later, and he was still just kind of huffing and puffing and not keeping up real well. And he was an athlete, so he was always in good shape. And I finally said, "What is going on with you?" So he said, "I don't know, but I just noticed that I can't pull up my socks anymore. My hands just aren't working real well." So he called a good buddy who was a doctor and told him this situation, and he said, "Boy, I think you might want to go see a neurologist." So he goes into the office by himself, and the doctor checked him over, and so John came home that day and he said, "Well, the doctor told me that first on the list of possibilities for my condition is Lou Gehrig's disease." Of course, we're in shock, we were in denial, but we knew we had to tell the children.
I remember my mom scheduled a family meeting that evening, and that was never good news, but we couldn't anticipate that it was going to be anything like this.
When you're a 9-year-old kid, it's really hard to put into perspective, the news, when your family sits down and talks about, the prospect of this disease and what it means to the family.
They were all there just wondering what in the world's going on, because we never had family meetings like that. And we had to tell them the news, that their father had this strange disease, and that it was fatal, and we were going to do the best we could to get through it all. So it was very, very, very obviously the hardest thing I ever have done in my life. Because of course the whole thing was about the children, knowing that they were going to lose their father. I couldn't have done it without my friends, that's all I can say. My family, my brother-in-law, my sister, friends that just came out of the woodwork. Once we came to grips with it, then John was like, "Okay, I'm in all the way." And he did take a seat on the board, and we went to the Hill, and he just couldn't do enough. And he just was determined to find a cure, help people find a cure for this horrible thing.
To go to DC and tell our story about ALS was, for me, amazing. My mom and dad went shortly after he was diagnosed. He was able to, start a campaign, Tuesdays are ALS days. He gave out the Tuesdays with Maury book. So for me, it was sort of like a reincarnation of that, and I was really excited about it.
ALS and John were a huge defining factor of this family, and so it would always be a large part of our group dynamic.
He was a great guy, and you've heard that validated by the love that his family, his widow, his children have for him yet today. His memory lives on, and this family is to be commended for the commitment they've made to seeing that not only does his memory remain alive, but they work for the organization that's trying to do something about it.
Our first walk was 1997. It was a lot different than today. It was down on the plaza, and I remember kind of feeling uplifted that there were other people going through this. It wasn't just our family. It didn't feel quite as lonely.
My mom has done such a fabulous job of fundraising every year, keeping people in the loop, keeping people coming out to the walk year after year after year, 20 years later this year. And not to minimize it, but it just feels like a yearly activity. It's getting together with old friends and spending the day with Dad.
Every year it's different, and I have to think of what can we do to make it fresh. And so each year my children have taken turns writing letters to all of our friends and relatives who have been contributing in the past, and try to get them come to the walk and also to contribute. Our team has raised, I didn't know this, but I have been told that we have raised $300,000 over the years, and that's just astounding, and I couldn't do it without all my wonderful friends, and Drew's friends have come on board since we've been married these last 11 years, and it's just
phenomenal.
When I hear how much our team has been responsible for, and I can't put that all on our family because we have wonderful friends, it makes me feel empowered. It makes me feel hopeful for other families.
It's not just about us and what it's done to affect us, but it's just so many people who need people like us to get out there and do it. So John would never give up, and we won't either.